Hello, I'm Summer Bogan. Welcome to the opening round of the Shannon's Nationals for 2014. The Australian GT Championship is here and last year's winner Clark Quinn joins me now. There's a lot to look forward to, including this gorgeous McLaren behind us.
Yeah, look, this year's going to be another level again from last year, and the competition's tighter and the cars in the championship are fantastic. We've got every make in the category this year, so it's going to be really exciting racing.
You said the lineup was tighter. We've got another rookie coming through, Richard Muscat. What needs to happen for you to stay on top? Because there will be a lot of pressure in this lineup.
Absolutely, and every year there's a lot of pressure, but what I've learned from the last 2 years is consistency, and to finish every race and every qualifying section you have to bank points, and that's the most critical thing. So we've got the reliability of McLaren and the speed of McLaren, so I'm in good hands, and I've got a great team behind me. You've got to take it lap by lap, and this consistency again.
Consistency is king, and we are looking forward to seeing you out there on the track. It is set to be an incredible year of racing, new cars, new talent, there's plenty of pressure for us to enjoy.
GT racing is undergoing a renaissance at the moment, and the Australian GT Championship, presented by Pirelli, is no exception. This is a high-class field where Porsche takes on Ferrari, Lamborghini and McLaren battle, and where everyone tries to catch the flying Erebus Mercedes SLS. Across a series of longer races, Australian GT competitors balance raw speed with race strategy to see who can come out on top, and the end results are usually very close. With star names like Stephen Richards and John Bowe taking on reigning champion Clark Quinn and his father Tony, plus series newcomer and Porsche champion Richard Muscat in the Erebus Benz, this year's Australian GT Championship will be a classic. And now we turn our attention to the second and final race of the weekend for the Australian GT Championship. Really looking forward to seeing exactly what Richard Muscat can do off pole, because Richard Crowley was certainly impressive off the back of the grid.
He was, Chad. A broken fuel line in qualifying meant that car didn't do one lap and had to start from the back of the grid in race one on Saturday. But Richard Muscat, it turns out, an exceptionally talented young man, and Erebus Motorsport, we know, a very, very good GT team. So he charged through the field. The result is what you see in the starting grid for race two. He starts from pole. The defending champ Clark Quinn in the brand new McLaren goes from the outside of the front row.
Good to see the MP4 12C in the field. It's a really stunning car up close, different car for Salmon and Talbot after the crash that Jason Bright had at Mount Panorama as part of the 12-hour earlier this year. First round of the championship. 2 by 2 will take them. Rolling start to the green flag. And a brand new season for the Australian GT Championship getting ready to kick off in the suburbs of Melbourne here at Sandown Raceway. Green flag is out. Great start already, Muscat. Perfect start for the big Mercedes. And the Erebus crew should lead it down towards turn one. And already the two Quins side by side. Muscat looks to block that line to the inside.
Great start from Tony Quinn in the Aston Martin. That car flying down towards the inside of the first corner and challenging for the lead as well. So great start for Tony, but Clark down the inside in the McLaren, but has to give way to the old man and goes back to third place. Very, very hard to outdrag an SLS AMG GT3 in a straight line. Proved at Bathurst, proved last year with Jack LeBrock driving. That car is a monster in a straight line, and Sandown is so much about straight line performance, Jack.
How's this for straight line performance? It's Steve Owen in the Porsche up against the Ferrari, riding on board with Peter Edwards, fastest part of the racetrack coming up.
4.5 litre Ferrari V8 screaming away, but Edwards has got nothing for the very talented Steve Owen. Dunlop Series V8 champion and main game competitor for a long time, so experienced, great long-term relationship with the Kourouris brothers as well. Steve Owen, a couple of 12 hours and a lot of GT racing with that family. And they're driving the car that won this championship last year with Clark Quinn driving. They recently purchased that from the Quinn family, the GT3R. That is a very, very capable racer. And it's great again to see an outright Porsche at the front of the field.
So it's Richard Muscat in the Erebus Mercedes that'll lead us across for the first lap, opening up a handy lead already over Tony Quinn and the VIP Pet Foods Aston Martin. And this is going to be a completely different race for young Muscat, because it's all about watching the mirrors instead of trying to pass cars, which we saw from him in race number one. Did so ably.
Yeah, really impressive stuff in race one, I thought, Chad. The way he just got the eyes on, just focused on what was ahead of him. He's a very, very mature young man. We saw that last year in the GT3 Cup Challenge, a lot of long-distance races in that series, and the way he bided his time, waited to get to the front, and when the opportunity arose, he grabbed it. That's what he did in race 1. Very, very mature stuff for a young man. Nationals Driver of the Year last year as well, as voted by his peers and a massive fan base online. So he's a kid going places. You can understand why Erebus have grabbed him at a young age and put him in this SLS AMG. Must be said, it's great to have Erebus back in Aussie GT, thanks to Pirelli, full time, because they really bring something extra to this championship.
They do. They had some success last year in the hands of Jack LeBrock, and good to see LeBrock here this weekend in the corner for the likes of Richard Muscat this week. And here's the Superbarn Porsche in the hands of Steve Owen.
A couple of Audis behind, as you mentioned, the re-shelled Squirk Audi. Rod Salmon and Liam Talbot were on board the 12C with Clark Quinn. We saw what this car was capable of at Mount Panorama and what this guy was capable of. Clark continues to impress for a guy that's not classed as a professional driver. He still won multiple Aussie GT championships, finished on the podium at Bathurst 2 years ago and almost this year, and is a very, very capable racing car driver, and you only have to see how well they're doing. Should mention McLaren Australia taking a very active role in this car's participation in Australian GT, and the brand new McLaren 650S, sort of the replacement for the 12C, on display at Sandown Raceway this weekend. First one in Australia.
It's all about the different classes that we have in the Australian GT Championship. We're checking out the battle at the front of the trophy field right now for cars older than 2011.
Ben Eggleston, the Alamona Resort sponsored Aston Martin DBRS 9, compared to the Vantage that Tony Quinn is racing, still got that sweet sounding V12 mounted out in front. Ben and Rachel Wagg formed a very, very successful racing car team, that Eggleston Motorsport, running cars in 3 different series, 2 forms of V8s and GT. But Ben decided this weekend, well, I'm sick of preparing cars for everybody else, I want to have a go myself. So he's on the racetrack and going very, very well. He's a very capable racing car driver.
Back towards the front of the field. Tony Quinn still in second position after that great start. And now we check back in with his son. This is Clark Quinn, left-hand driver. It's almost centre drive, though, with these McLarens.
And that is an ex-McLaren Formula 1 steering wheel. That's what the design was based on. So it's not really a circle at all, isn't it? Proper open wheel spec, but that's what this car's all about. All this open wheel technology that McLaren have got, they sunk into their GT car. This battle continues. The McPherson IMAC Quick-Nick Porsche and the Aston Martin continuing its march through the field.
Fastest part of the racetrack. It's over the hill. It's hold your breath stuff through turn 6. Usually the person on the outside is the one who has to just dabble the brakes slightly. You can't go side by side over the curbs and down the hill.
So there's Eggleston. There's Andrew McPherson. Long-time campaigner in these cars, not necessarily at a national level, but very successful at a New South Wales state competition level at Wakefield Park and Sydney Motorsport Park. He's got a lot of miles in these cars, and he's been very impressive in the early days. We should mention, this trophy battle in Australian GT this year is unbelievable, if not more competitive than the actual fight for first place. As we have a look at the replay, a couple of the trophy class cars, it's hugely competitive, and this fight will go right down to the wire. And when you look at some of the guys in it, Steve McLaughlin, Dean Kutsamini sharing with the gun James Winslow, twice Gold Star winner, there's a lot of talent in the trophy class as well as the challenge class running further down the field.
Yeah, Rod Salmon and Liam Talbot also competing in that field this weekend, seeing as their outright car was destroyed up on the mountain, but they've come back with a leased car this weekend. The old car that they crashed is headed off to Germany for some fairly substantial repairs, but looks to be back. Oh, that's a big moment over the hill. You cannot get it wrong there, but very, very close.
Speaking of the challenge class, the 3-car focusing down the inside. George and Ben sharing the driving duties this weekend. Brendan Cook and Matty Kingsley in the other Porsche, so a great fight. So class racing all the way up and down the field in Australian GT, and that's what keeps it interesting the whole way through this field.
Ben Fozel, after a successful campaign last year, wrapped it up nicely over in New Zealand at the Highlands 101 event. As your race leader, Richard Muscat, has made that step up earlier, like Krause said, from the GT3 Cup Challenge Series. And this awesome SLS Erebus car that he's recently taken control of. He's only really had 3 or 4 pedals of this car, but now he's having a chance to really drive it in anger, and we're into traffic.
I asked him before this weekend what he thought it was like to drive compared to the Porsche that he's so used to, and he said you just couldn't take something so completely different. It achieves its speed in such a completely different way. And you've got to remember, Porsche rear engine, rear drive. The Merc's got the big 6.2 litre AMG V8 hanging out the front. Massive car, it's a lot heavier. It's got a lot more aero. He said it's a lot more like an open wheel car. So it's a real challenge to drive, but he's got up to speed quickly. Speaking of up to speed, the McLaren following Tony. There's a car off at Dandenong Road, stuck in the gravel trap.
So that could have been under yellow flags there for Tony Quinn. That might be a problem. It's the Lamborghini.
Jimmy Darcer off the road. The 77 JJA consulting car. This car quite badly damaged at a crash at Phillip Island last year, and that has brought the safety car out.
And this is going to really shake up the field because pit stops were just around the corner. What does this mean for our leader? We'll find out. We'll return to Sandown, the Australian GT Championship, coming up after this. The McLaren will take this restart in second position as Tony Quinn leads us to the green flag. Now our leader, Richard Muscat, dived into the pits off the back. Here he is right now. The Erebus guys are going to take their pit stop. The pit stop window is open, but Krause, this could be drama for them because they have to stop for longer. That safety car really hurt them.
Yeah, the pit stop regulations for GT Championship mean the pro drivers have to stop for a longer time than the non-professionals. So Ben Eggleston in pit lane, Rachel Wagg, the car controller, Richard Muscat behind for Erebus. He basically followed the pit stop in from the lead of the motor race. So did a whole heap of cars. But that's handed an easy lead at the moment to Clark Quinn and Tony Quinn in the Aston Martin. Here they are. So Aston leads McLaren over the back of the hill, but they will stop soon as well, and the race will start to sort itself out. The running order will work itself out. But I think the net result is that this is going to be dramas for Erebus. They're going to be further down the field than they wanted to be. That safety car has hurt Richard Muscat.
He tried so hard to open up that race lead. He was driving perfect laps, lap in, lap out, and then the safety car took it away from him, and he's going to be a good 30 seconds behind these guys by the times we get back to racing. So it's really hurt Erebus, and the new leader of the race should be, well, it is right now Tony Quinn, but even after these pit stops cycle through, this is going to work out really well.
A real victim of timing there, and they have to spend longer in pit lane, but they're also caught out by the time the pit window opened, so they couldn't actually pit until the safety car went in. So it just really, the dice haven't fallen well for Erebus at the moment. Maranello Motorsport, Bathurst 12-hour winners this year. So they're in pit lane, and the great man John Bowe stepping in from Peter Edwards, and behind them the M Motorsport Lamborghini, Justin McMillan and Stephen Richards trading places. The pole sitting car this weekend, Richo in that car full-time, dovetailing in with his Porsche Carrera Cup commitments this season. So he's getting a pretty good year, gets to race a Porsche and a Lamborghini.
Here's the Erebus. It's already gone flying through one of the Ginettas at the back of the track. Last-minute dive up the inside, a very hard left-hander, and he's just got to focus here. Barry Ryan will be on the radio to him, just telling him to focus, be patient like he was in race one. He's got to do all of that hard work again, back-to-back races for the Erebus Merc, and Richard Muscat is showing that he's got a lot of patience up his sleeve as Tony Quinn does come in, and he'll take his pit stop, which will be about 30 seconds less than what we saw for Richard Muscat. At least Muscat's got fresh tyres.
Correct, and 30 seconds less than his son. Clark has to stop for longer, so the inter-family battle between the Quinns might be decided in pit lane. Fossil in pit lane, father and son combination. They stop, gets that car fired up. Brand new livery for the motor school racing car. There's Quinn. This car just sitting there cooking. They do heat quite quickly. It's not a cold day by any extent here at Sandown. Perfect weather for motor racing. As we go back and take a look at this trophy class battle. There's the Porsche. James Kandouris and Steve Owen sharing the duties there. The Equity One Audi with the British ace James Winslow set to drag this car to the finish. And he's a gun, really enjoying driving with Dean Kutsamides. And past a new car, well, a returning car to Australian GT. It's Keith Kasuki, Touring Car Masters racer, running in GT in the Ascari A10, prepared by Dick and Jill Savvy from Savvy Motorsport.
Well, John Bowe is now in the car. He's taken over for Peter Edwards in the Ferrari. He's down there in the pits right now with Summer Bow.
Peter Edwards joins me now, and you've just shaved a second off your best time. What's working for you, Peter?
Well, they told me I couldn't drive anymore if I was too slow.
That's enough of an incentive. And what does John need to do now to bring it home? Because you were impressive yesterday.
He just needs to be JB. He's always good.
Wonderful. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Good news for John Bow is that, well, there's plenty of time left in this one to try and catch Tony Quinn, who's already starting to catch some traffic, and also Ben Eggleston, who's at the front of this queue.
Yeah, you can see how it's all starting to bunch up, Chad. So Ben Eggleston, by virtue of good strategy, a good stop, and just having very good pace today, has all bunched in close together. As Richard Muscat breaks the lap record as well. It went yesterday in race 1, goes again today with a 9.5. Greg Crick, the great Tasmanian former GT champion, held that benchmark coming into this weekend. It was reset by John Bow in Saturday's race, and Muscat has broken it again in this one, going so very quickly and diving down the inside of Keith Kassulke in his pursuit of Tony Quinn in the Aston Martin. Really good performance by Ben Eggleston, though, I think, in this race. Quiet achiever. Just finds himself in the top position with not too long to go in the race. He could be on for a podium, if not a top 5. But it's busy coming onto the straight.
Nearly trips over the Mosler, and I think Tony Quinn might have got a bit of a run on him. And speaking of getting a good run, Richard Muscat to the inside as well. Ridiculously close racing in the Australian GT Championship. Quinn with a look up the inside, and that's the difference between new and old, and trophy and, well, the outright categories as well, as he just breezes past the approach of turn 1. But look who's lurking. Richard Muscat at the inside at turn 2. Doesn't want to go tripping over the Mosler as well. And this is first, second and third on the racetrack right here.
We should mention Eggleston fighting for his own class victory. He'll want the outright result as well, but in the back of his mind, he can always think, look, I can let these guys go. I'm still in front in the trophy class. Muscat has only eyes for that bright yellow and black Aston Martin Vantage V12 of Tony Quinn, who leads the race. There's the leader, and there's Muscat too. The Aston's not giving away too much in a straight line to the mighty Merc.
He just reached him at an awkward part of the circuit. He loves it down here, though. Wait for the big dive. There it is. Relying on the ABS of the big Mercedes. Just tramp it on the middle pedal. Take second position away. With use of that traction control, he can now lower his sights and chase down the VIP Pet Foods Aston Martin of Tony Quinn. Now, this should be a good battle. Experience versus youth.
Yeah, it could be very interesting, isn't it? Tony Quinn has just got all the guile and experience of someone who's been in this category for a long time. Here's another look. Pretty textbook stuff at Sandown. Used the inherent grip and performance of the Pirelli tyre as well to slow him down into Dandenong Road. Really good move by Rich Muscat. Gets second place. His fiancée Tori will be watching on from pit lane. His mum and dad here as well. Daniel Clemenco calling the shots this weekend for Erebus, but he's down in Tassie with the V8, so one half of the Clemenco clan in charge at Sandown this weekend. And of course, Barry Ryan will be on the radio, the team manager, so vastly experienced and a cool head, talking to a hot young driver, trying to chase down another race victory.
He's passed the whole field about twice this weekend, as JB is now closing up in the 458. Ben Eggleston's more than likely going to find himself going back another spot here as the battle at the front heats up.
Oh, it's good, isn't it? But Quinn is very good under brakes. He knows how to drive these cars. Let's watch the SLS out of the final corner. That sweet-sounding V12 is very, very good on power down and gives nothing away in a straight line. And JB past Eggleston, so Bow up to third. Shakes the 12-hour, isn't it? That bright red Ferrari somewhere near the front. And this is how he did it. Into this great complex, he just sliced down the inside under brakes, used the aero and the braking performance of the light, nimble Ferrari, and just dived down the inside. Easy done for John Bow. He's going out in chasing the 2 leaders.
This is fantastic racing. If this battle at the front continues much longer, if Muscat can't dispose of Tony Quinn, he's going to have bigger problems because that Ferrari will catch him. And, well, John Bow knows a thing or two about how to get around Sandown in a hurry, so if he can just get onto the back of the Merc, this is going to be a very interesting battle to the flag. One more Ferrari to get around first, and he's going to try and get there at the very, very bottom of the hill. And Quinn did a really good job to see him. That was advantageous at best.
I was just thinking, how good is that car under brakes and how composed does it look in braking going down into Dandenong Road? Well, that proved it. Just fired the thing down the inside with complete confidence that the car would grip and he'd be able to get it turned in. Now, what about Tony in a straight line and Bow in third? So first, second and third all in the same shot going down the straight. Muscat defends.
Look at the horsepower from the Aston. They nearly bang wheels halfway down the straight, and somehow Muscat holds on to it. Does he overcook it? Nearly. Watch JB in this situation. This is tight at the approach of turn 2. Just hung off just a second before taking his racing line, and Bow might have a shot here up the inside of turn 3. Quinn closes the door. Good racing inside the top 3.
How good is Aussie GT at the moment? 3 different brands in the top 3, all different types of cars. V8 powered rear drive, Mercedes-Benz SLS, V12 Aston Martin, mid-mount V8 powered Ferrari in third place, and they're all locked together dicing for the lead at the end of a 1 hour race. It's unbelievable. Very competitive, but a mature drive from this guy in the SLS.
It's all about the traffic at the moment. He just reaches it at the bad time, and in this case, it was Quinn reaching it at a bad time. Can JB make the most of this?
Well, that's Jim Manolis, Trofeo Motorsport, in the borrowed Ferrari this weekend. The Corvette coughing some upgrades. It's pretty busy. Bow looks up the inside of Quinn, gets it done. That's second. Does he hold on, though?
I think the Aston's going to have the legs to go back by in a straight. He's also got something of a toe at the moment as well off the back of the Manolis Ferrari. We're going to go 3 wide down the front straight. This is helping Muscat to open up that lead. He took about a second and a half away in traffic. And look how good JB is under brakes now. To turn 1, no, he's going to go spearing off. He hit it far too late, and around goes Quinn and takes the Manolis Ferrari with him hard into the wall.
Which is Tony's car. He owns that Ferrari and lent it to Jim for this round. And now they've crashed together at turn 1. And both cars out of the race. Big damage to the Ferrari. So Bow sliced down the inside at turn 1, and they both went straight on, both ran off the road, and Jim Manolis, the lap car, caught in the middle of that in a big crash. So this is a replay of the pass for the lead that happened what seems like an eternity ago now, with Muscat slicing down the inside, and this was the battle for second. So JB's been so good under brakes, got it round the inside and then the outside of Tony Quinn, but that straight line performance was so very, very good. And this is what happened at turn 1. Dive down the inside, a little bit too hot, was never going to get it turned in.
Oh,
Quinny on the curb. Oh, it was the curb that turned him round, and poor old Jim Manolis had nowhere to go.
Sizable shunt indeed into the wall, and Bow started that move so late. It's left your race leader well and truly alone out in front right now.
And should re-elevate Ben Eggleston onto the podium in third place in the Aston Martin. So Aston will still get a podium out of this potentially, but it might not be the one we all expected. Wow, what drama in the early days of Aussie GT. There's Richard Muscat's parents watching on from the Erebus bunker. There'll be some tension and some pressure down there at the moment for what this young man's doing. They'll want him to bring it home.
It's all about turning in the perfect laps now for Richard Muscat. Erebus Motorsport backing this young man, along with a few drivers that they back around the country. Final lap for him. Jack LeBrock recently with this car last year turned in some good performances, and now a chance for another young driver to take the reins in this car. He's only had really a couple of test days at Phillip Island at Winton, but this is really a home track for Erebus. They're about 20 minutes away in Cheltenham, their workshop for the GT cars, another workshop up in Queensland for their V8 operation. But this is awesome stuff to see Richard Muscat drive through the field not once but twice after that fuel line issue in qualifying. Seriously impressive.
Yeah, you mentioned Jack LeBrock. I dropped in on their debrief on Saturday after qualifying when Rich was a little bit down, but those two were goofing around. They're a great little combo. Jack here this weekend won 6 races in a row in that car last year in a 3-round campaign. Really impressive, talented young man. Richard Muscat has picked up where he left off and is doing the job. But how good is this championship going to be this year? Battles throughout the field in challenge class with the Janettas are, in trophy class where the Astons are, but the outright battle is going to be amazing.
We're looking forward to when the championship heads back over to New Zealand for the Highlands 101. There'll be a Phillip Island 101 as well, but the checkered flag at Sandown is about to fly. Richard Muscat on debut with Erebus in the Australian GT Championship race win. In race number 1, race win in race number 2, and he did it in style, had to chase down and catch some of the best.
He has had to work for both of those races, and well done Ben Eggleston on the podium, 3rd position outright. Here's Keith Kasulki in the Ascari A10, the Lamborghini. Such is the variety in Aussie GT. Man, things bode well for this championship this year, though. It's so competitive.
Followed by a Mosler, followed by an Audi, followed by a Porsche. There's 5 manufacturers in the space of about 50 metres. But congratulations, Richard Muscat and the Erebus team taking victory for round number 1 in the Australian GT Championship. Ben Eggleston, a fantastic job to be 1st in class, but 3rd outright. Mick Millen and Richards, Lamborghini finishing 10th overall after taking pole position, but so much drama. Congratulations, Richard Muscat.
After the safety car, we knew we were on the back foot with a massive pit stop penalty, so we come out about 5th or 6th after the pit stop, and there was about halfway to go. So, Barry Ryan on the radio said, qualifying laps, mate, keep your head down and concentrate. I did that and managed to see, Richo and Tony Quinn starting to creep closer and closer to me, so they gave me a bit more confidence and kept pushing and pushing, and it's managed to win. It's awesome.
Time to check out the points in the 4 different categories. And yes, Richard Muscat, 100 points and leading the way in our outright category. Over to trophy, and it's the combination of Kootsamides and Winslow that are leading the way at the moment from Steve McLaughlin. In challenge, it's the combination of Cook and Kingsley and their Porsche, and they're up on the father and son Fosel combination. And then it's Tony Alford and O'Connor leading the way in the sports category ahead of the Janettas. So the trophies are handed out on the podium. The first round of the Australian GT Championship presented by Pirelli, and it's Richard Muscat and the Erebus Academy that take the first of the wins. Looking forward to the next round. We head down to Phillip.
Bow looks up the inside. McQueen gets it done. That's second. Does he hold on though?
He's going to go 3 wide down the front straight. No, he's going to go spearing off. He hit it far too late, and around goes Quinn. Takes the Manolis Ferrari with him hard into the wall, which is Tony's car. He owns that Ferrari and leads him to dip for this round. And now they've crashed together at turn 1. It's both cars out of the race.